Well, we all know why we're holding silver coins, because it's actually the money that the founding fathers wanted us to have. The Constitution says that the Congress is the only one that shall coin money, even if it's like coin is you're going to be used the word as print fiat. It should be in the hands of the Congress. So here we have the founding fathers on the back of a minivan in California. They're 5 cats. So the new Mount Rushmore on the back of your Hyundai or Honda minivan. So anyway, I know things are getting cold here in the wintertime, and I guess it varies. We had some record cold here in November, broke some 140-year records and things like that. But I guess things warmed up. What I've been expecting though is I think, and I don't even want to make this as like a political statement. It's my opinion that. And this is related to silver, though. It's my opinion that the global warming, or now they call it global climate change, was really a scientific agenda paid for by NGOs to try to implement a global carbon tax. Not that I'm against environmental, helping the environment and stuff like that. But what I think, though, is that we're probably going to have an extra cold winter this winter, and it's going to bring the demand for oil up so high that I don't think these prices will be able to be maintained. Now, there's other twist on this deal, because I'm going to get into some other things that have been said recently by the Saudis and also some of the major hedge fund guys out there about the markets in general, because while we're sitting on the edge here waiting for silver to go up, and you're like saying, how long is this going to take, for crying out loud? It's like it's taken a hell of a lot longer. I guess if the political landscape was very different in Washington, D.C., we probably would have had, you could see how Dick Cheney is, right? I mean, he's all freaking a warmonger from hell. If he was still vice president of the USA, we would have already had a war in the Middle East. Oil would have been way up through the roof. And silver and gold would have been up through the roof correspondingly. Now, silver can actually go lower because of this damn oil prices being depressed. Now, oil went up like $1.11 today, or whatever the hell it is. I mean, that's not current. It's always changing. But the Dow is first time over 18,000. Freaking amazing. Unexpected to me. I already thought it would have started crashing, because Soros is already losing out on, I guess, about 25% of his hedge position, which is 16%. So he'd be losing out 25% of 16% of his net worth. So he's losing money. He's losing. Well, I guess he's making money in other areas, but he's not just doing a normal hedge on the S&P. A normal hedge is 3% of your net worth. He's doing 16%. Also, Warren Buffett is sitting on over $50 billion in cash. It's costing him, I think, $29 million a day to sit on this cash by being outside the markets. Also, there's other billionaires like David Tepper who's concerned about the market in 2015. You also heard about, who the hell was that guy from the Leonard Stern School of Business? I don't know, he's one of those contrarians. Damn it, I forgot the damn guy's name off the top of my head, but it's not important. He's another guy that talks. There's a lot of people actually talking about the markets are looking bad for the next 10 years. What you're going to get as a return on investment for the next 10 years, for his corporate bonds and general equities, and general equities have far outstripped, what the actual reality is in the economy versus, like in other words, equities pretty much correspond with what's in line with the inflation rate and the GDP combined. Well, the equities have tripled that rate easy, from the low. Not tripled in aggregate, but tripled from the low. In other words, the equities are up at least 160%. Inflation in GDP is up less than 23%. So from the bottom. So it can be a real devil. It can be a real devil waiting for this garbage to happen. But it's almost like you got to be a stoic, because, it's highly unpredictable, and that's always been the nature of commodities. But it's always like the patient get the rewards. It's not a game to be playing leverage in, though, and it's a dangerous game to be playing leverage in. It's a game to actually be playing physical, and physical is the way to go, as always. Now, the thing is, While people are waiting around, it's like I know a lot of people right now are upside down on silver, and they're probably kicking themselves for buying it over 20 or whatever the hell it is. I bought very, very, very little, even over 20, personally. So I will actually. Well, I'm waiting for it to get over 40 before I dump electronic junk, and I will not even dump 1 ounce of physical until it's north of 50 by say 55. So that's my strategy on it. I know a lot of people think that's ludicrous today, considering the prices that there are. And actually, when it gets that high, people are going to be saying, "Oh, it's too it's the dollar's going to zero and all this kind of crap like that." They're going to be giving that kind of garbage. There's actually a lot of disinformation out there, and the more I've been digging in, the news sources, where these stories are coming from in the alternative media, I'm actually finding a very much an anti-USA, anti-Western connection. Um, you know, I put some videos out about Vlad and Russia and things, but there's even more. It's like the corruption on that side of the world is actually exponentially worse than over here, and people's eyes are not being woken up to that. Their eyes are being opened up to a constant barrage of what's wrong in the West, but they're not getting a balanced opinion from the alternative media, and nor are they getting a balanced opinion from the major media. The major media makes it look like, hey, on one side everything's great, over here, and nothing's wrong. And on the alternative media, they make it look like everything's wrong here, everything's freaking evil. Actually, a lot of the bankers are people that are very, very responsible. The problem is, and actually Jim Rogers says this, the bankers that have been, doing the right thing are the ones that are actually getting punished. And it's the ones that have the connections to the Wall Street, the big boys that have the connections to political connections are the ones that are getting bailed out. So, also you'll see a lot of these rumors about, this is actually, I'm going to show you right now, this is actually how they're smuggling in gold into China. Actually, what they're doing is they're using like panda bears and shopping carts, and they're just pushing them down the road, and that's how they're smuggling in the gold into China. I know there's been stories out there about they're smuggling gold into China with tanks. And, I don't think people, I don't know what people think on the average, but as somebody that's been around this stuff for a long time, not exactly in the gold market, but just how things work in the major markets, with what people would do, how they would actually move something of worth, they wouldn't be doing something like that. That's ludicrous. That's ludicrous. They just fly it in on a plane. It's almost like, that's another one of those stupid stories that you're seeing from the alternative media. They repeat everything. I swear to God, I know what they're doing. They got you hooked on. It's almost like the Martians are invading, and they're telling you a bunch of freaking lies. Basically, I'm telling you flat out. I don't know. Some people hear it, some people don't want to hear it, but I cannot prove or disprove the story about gold coming in China via tanks, but it's ludicrous. And I can tell you it's coming in by panda bears on shopping carts, and that's about the equivalent of it. And the reason I'm saying that is it doesn't take that many tons of gold or whatever to, you're buying a ton of gold. Just throw it on a freaking cargo plane and fly it in. Why the hell would you drive it in with a tank? It's almost like it's being driven in by a tank, so it's got a turret and it's got the army around it. It's being protected. Yeah, right. They would fly it in on a plane. It's another stupid story that's being floated out there, and it's like I know what they're doing. It's like, I can't wait for another volume to hit, right? It's almost like people are being addicted to these alternative media yo-yos that are pushing these extreme bullshit, ludicrous stories to the max. And it's like a soap opera drama. That's really what's going on. They're not giving you good information. Not at all. Now, the one thing actually I see for a problem in the future is how the hell would you cash if there really is a major financial crisis? There might be a bottleneck at the bullion dealers when you try to cash it in, you know? And it's almost like if you get a check from a bullion dealer, what do you get? I mean, are you going to trust that that check doesn't bounce or something or what? You know, you don't even know. If there's a major, in other words, if all the banking system fails, right? What just figure this out. I mean, what they're telling you in the alternative media. If the entire, just like let's chill out here and just figure this out. If the entire banking system failed, if you go to a bullion dealer and you go to cash in your silver, how do you trust that that check can be drawn from the bank that the bullion dealer is dealing with? How do you do that? And other thing is, I'd imagine there'd be an excise tax. Actually, I'm going to tell you this, Mr. Obama, and maybe this is not maybe a focus of the silver people, but maybe it'll be of interest to some people. You know how like they have this self-employment tax? Is there 15% self-employment tax? Like say for instance somebody's out there mowing lawns or whatever the hell it is. There's like a 15% self-employment tax on top of your normal income tax. But in the case if you are a subchapter S, not just you have a subchapter S LLC incorporated, you're not subject to the self-employment tax. Now you're subject to other taxes like Medicare and Social Security and things like that and regular income tax, but you're not subject to the self-employment tax if all that income is going through the subchapter S. Now that's how it's been working in the United States for, I don't know, forever. I don't know when it started, like a gazillion years ago. Obama wants to make all the he tried to. They stopped him. He tried to actually have the self-employment tax applied to all the subchapter S's. And you would not believe how many subchapter S's are out there. In other words, a tax upon a tax. In other words, you got corporate tax, you got personal income tax, and then you have, there's all kinds of taxes. Actually, there's, what do you call it? Then you have the self-employment tax. Well, the self-employment tax is, I mean, even if you made, $10, you got to pay $1.50. There's no like, and then when you get up over a certain amount, he would make it where he wanted to make it even where the subchapter S was taxable. So with the 15% subchapter S, that's telling me the government is really hard up for money, man. Big time, and that's dangerous because what I'm also thinking this through. If silver does, let's say it goes up to 65, like when it spikes up really hard, it's going to get legs eventually, and then when it gets up, it's going to break through 50, and it should go significantly past 50, 65, 70, 75. I know that at that time they're going to be calling 500,000, 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 dollars an ounce. I know they're going to be doing that, but just think this through. Can you imagine how much they would tax that at? A lot. I think they would. There'd be an excise tax. As a matter of fact, we got our silver daggers on hand here, but when they had the Iranian hostage crisis back in '79, I know there's a number of things going on, but there was also global tensions created a situation where oil went up because of the what happened with the Shah being overthrown, and there had the here's my freaking thing coming up. Vera wishes you happy holidays. Great. Anyway, so the thing is that when that happened, there was global tensions. Oil went up. It actually caused silver and gold to go up. Actually, Mark Rich, you probably never heard of him before. Maybe you did. I think he died last year now. He was living in Spain, and he was actually pardoned by President Clinton. He was dealing in oil, and he made a lot of money in oil by dealing with the Iranians, despite us having a ban from dealing with the Iranians after the Shah was ousted. It's kind of garbage. But my point is, if we have another big Middle East crisis, that is what's going to cause that's really what's going to cause the oil, gold, and silver to go up. Now, Mr. Vlad is being backed into a corner. I know some people don't like to be talking about this guy, but what actually this Saudi oil minister Nami basically was saying that he doesn't really give a damn about Russia. We don't care if oil goes down to 20, 40, 50, or whatever. It's irrelevant. A barrel. 20. I don't think that's going to happen because, like I said, I think the global warming thing is not really true, and we're probably going to have record freaking cold this winter, and there's going to be a hell of a lot of demand for oil. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm not pushing a Valium channel here, so, I'm giving you hardcore facts, but it looks like Saudi is basically declaring that they don't give a damn about Russia, and they're almost like declaring they're the enemy of Russia. And Russia's running very low on its reserves that are liquid. It has more reserves, but the reserves that are liquid, they're having a hard time. They're running out. They're actually running low. They're not going to be able to sustain this extremely long. Now, if the thing is, what I see, what I see is the obvious move for Putin through his proxy Iran. If Iran had some kind of conflict with Saudi and took a lot of their oil off the market, oil would immediately go up, and it would be a financial boon for Russia. Russia cannot stop pumping oil no matter what. They depend upon the money, and their efficiency of pumping oil is, it costs them a hell of a lot more to produce oil than Saudi does. The cost from Saudi. So Saudi, even though it may be hurting Saudi a little bit, they can last a hell of a lot longer than Russia. And Saudi's pretty much telling them point blank, we don't give a damn about you. You don't even think you belong in the oil market. Now, what does that tell you? Now, I know that if it can be a real devil if I think that might be it's almost like the obvious move. It's almost like the obvious move. Who's your, if you're Russia, you'd be thinking, who's the ones that are really putting the screws to you? It's Saudi oil production. If you're a proxy or partners or strategic partners, Iran, they've been going at it for hundreds of years. The Sunnis and Shiites went to war with Saudi. All that oil would be taken off the market, and it would go way the hell up. And it wouldn't affect Russian production at all. But I know if that happens, I know the alternative media is going to say the Western banksters did it. I don't even know if that's going to happen, though. But it almost seems like that's the reality. That seems like the move. That seems like his only way out. Seems to be. And you never know. Maybe that's what they're trying to do. Maybe they're trying to push him into this too. I really don't know, because it's like a chess games are going on behind the scenes. But I'm just going to tell you again, they're all evil. Both sides of the world, man. We got bad guys over here. They got bad. It's not like those are the. I can't stand the alternative media for me, because they're telling you the other side of the world is great. Smile, the other side of the world is not great. But if I'm thinking is that when oil does go up, it's going to hurt everybody in food wise, heating oil wise. I think it is going to go up though, but partly because of, like I said, I don't think they're going to have a very, very warm winter this winter. I know some people get mad at that about, I know all the studies, but I've been reading a long time about the volcanic activity, the magnetism of the Earth, decreasing, and the solar sunspots decreasing altogether has a lot more effect on the global temperatures than what we do, which I'm not against freaking having a clean environment, but I'm just telling you that I think that we're going to have a lot colder winter this winter, and next winter is going to be even colder and colder and colder and colder for the next 15 years, and it's going to create a lot of demand on oil. So, but in the meantime, that's a kind of a slow thing. That's kind of a slow thing. In the meantime, the one thing, Russia's not, I don't think they'll be able to last a year the way things are going. If oil's down to like $50 a gallon or a barrel, it's, I don't think they're going to be able to last. They don't have that many liquid reserves, despite the face Putin's putting on and all that kind of garbage. And Saudi's the ones putting the screws to them. It's like the Saudis maybe are working on behalf of the Western guys over here, but not exactly. Saudis always considered Russia an enemy, and because Russia's backing Iran, which is their enemy too. But it almost makes me think, what's left for Russia to do if Iran struck Saudi? Oh, just take some of that oil off the market. Price would go astronomically high overnight. I don't know this, but it could be. It could be. Not sure. Not sure. But anyway, that's food for thought. You know what I mean? That's food for thought. So can't wait for the Valium to hit. That's the typical fix with. But I'm giving you straight up facts. But I don't know if they're going to do this. I know Obama was not the one that would actually push for war in the Middle East, but I thought there was plenty of people that really control them that would do that. And obviously that's not the situation because of Valerie. Valerie's like, she'll stop it. Just like, they ratted out Israel when they were going to attack them and all this kind of stuff, and to take out their nuclear facilities. And the administration is actually making sure nothing gets started in the Middle East as far as a war. But then again, you start thinking about this policy that the U.S. is pursuing along with Saudi of bringing down the oil prices. It's almost like it'll cause Russia, through its proxy, Iran to start the war. Because that's how they would bring up... Because they got to survive. They're never... No matter what Putin says, they're not going to be able to... If this price stays down, even with, a colder winter, maybe it goes up to 65, that still ain't going to be enough to freaking let them survive. They're not going to be able to survive a year at that shit. No way. No way. Russia really needs a good $90 a barrel or more. I mean, they could survive 80 for a long time, or maybe 75, but 60, 65, and it's at 55 now, or 56. Forget about it. So, just thinking this through, I almost think that, it's almost like a shrewd maneuver by doing this. It's almost like indirectly forcing, it's like forcing the Russian guy to do a bad thing. I mean, nobody's really good in this situation, but that could be the way it plays out. It could be. Where Iran strikes Saudi somehow, or something happens there, and then there's a major conflict between Saudi and Iran, and all this oil's taken off the market. And if that happens, gold and silver are going to start taking off like a rocket. But I'm not going to be afraid to sell, because if it gets too high, that's just how it is, You're not going to hear me telling you it's going to be $2,000 an ounce or something like that. I was laughing at that $500 an ounce. I mean, anything's possible for like a week, maybe for like a week it could be $250 an ounce or something when its conditions are right. But, if it takes you 2 rolls of silver to go buy yourself a new diesel 4-wheel drive truck or something like that, it's telling you it's way too high. Anyway, so use a little common sense, because you'll be doing an asset exchange, but it won't be a like-kind exchange. It'll be an asset exchange when your price of silver goes up too high. The dollar is still going to be the currency of the USA for a long, long time, unless the USA is totally dissolved. And if the USA is totally dissolved, we got more problems than you'd be worrying about coins. Anyway, that's my update. Over and out. And it's a rational, balanced update. I'm trying to freaking put it. I don't like getting too formal on this damn thing, but it's like I'm actually giving you some good, straight information on this deal versus the others, and I'm actually telling you stuff the major media doesn't tell you. So, be Beware of these alternative media guys, man. I swear, man. I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing. They're drama, man. They're drama to the max.